Most people believe that a lack of discipline is a character flaw, a weak, shameful trait, something that some have and others do not. However, this view is completely misguided. What few people know is that discipline, as it is generally understood, goes against the way the human brain is designed to operate. And this is not a metaphor. It is a neurobiological fact. The brain did not evolve to prioritize long-term goals, abstract targets, or heroic self-control. It evolved for one thing: immediate survival. Over millions of years, humans adapted to conserve energy, seek quick rewards, and avoid any unnecessary effort. In other words, your brain does not want you to go to the gym. It wants you to stay on the couch because that saves energy. It does not want you to write an article or study. It wants you to open TikTok because dopamine comes faster. And this is not a defect. It is simply biology. The problem is that modern society demands just the opposite. To thrive, are expected to be disciplined, productive, and consistent. But this creates an internal conflict. On one side, a brain that has been shaped to act like a lazy hunter-gatherer. On the other, a world that demands behavior from a focused and resilient supercompute. When someone tries to force discipline through willpower, they are in practice trying to overcome millions of years of evolutionary programming with a handful of motivational phrases. And guess what? It doesn't work, at least not for long. James Clear, author of the bestseller Atomic Habits, revealed one of the deepest insights about modern human behavior. Real discipline does not come from force. It comes from design. The most consistent people, those who seem disciplined, are actually not stronger or more motivated. They have simply created systems and environments that make the right behavior easy, automatic, and inevitable. They do not fight against the brain. They manipulate it. In the next few minutes, we will dismantle the illusion of discipline, expose the mistakes you didn't even know you were making, and build together a new way of thinking and acting. A smarter way, more human, more effective. If you have ever felt weak for procrastinating, if you have ever hated yourself for not being able to stick to your own plans, this video will not judge you. It will show you that you were just trying the wrong way, and now finally you will understand the right way. Discipline as a concept seems simple in theory. Just want something enough, stay focused, and resist temptation. But when we look at how the human brain actually works, we realize that this view is not only simplistic, but completely naive. This is because your brain is not interested in your long-term goals. It is focused on survival, comfort, and energy efficiency. And if you don't understand this, you will live in conflict with it. For most of human evolution, our ancestors lived in hostile environments, where resource scarcity was the norm, and the only priority was to survive until the next day. In this scenario, the brain adapted to prioritize immediate rewards. Eating now was more important than storing for later. Sleeping more was safer than exposing oneself to risks. Avoiding effort meant conserving energy for critical moments. The brain was calibrated generation after generation to seek the quickest, most pleasurable, and least costly path. And guess what? This software still runs in you today. When you try to wake up early to go to the gym, your brain interprets this as a threat to comfort and energy conservation. When you open your laptop to study or work on a project, it immediately suggests that you just take a quick look at social media because there, pleasure is instant, predictable, and guaranteed. Going to the gym, reading a technical book, writing an article, that requires effort without immediate reward. The brain hates that. And here's the most important detail. Your brain is not rational. It is efficient. It does not choose what is best in the long term, but what requires less energy right now. This is what neuroscience calls cognitive ease. The brain's tendency to always choose the path of least resistance. And this choice is not conscious. It happens even before you decide. The problem, therefore, is not a lack of willpower. It is a design conflict. Your brain wants to survive and feel good. Now you want to evolve and grow in the long term. And as long as these two goals are not reconciled, you will continue to feel frustrated, tired, and unsuccessful. James Clear sums this up brilliantly. Motivation is overrated. Environment is more important. In other words, if you constantly need to rely on willpower, it means you are fighting against the natural structure of your brain. And that is a battle you will lose. Always. Because over time, fatigue wins. And when you are tired, your brain goes back to autopilot. And the autopilot, always, chooses the easiest path. If you really want to change, the first step is not to try harder. The first step is to understand what you are dealing with. And now that you know your brain is programmed to sabotage any attempt at forced discipline, an inevitable question arises. What if the problem is not you, but the environment you live in? In the next part, we will explore why your environment is, in fact, the true architect of your behaviors, and how you can manipulate it to work in your favor. If this content is making sense to you, click the subscribe button and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for your support. Now that you understand that your brain is designed to seek the easiest path, we need to look at the true battleground where this decision takes place, the environment around you. Most people believe that self-control is an inner strength, a kind of moral muscle that just needs to be strengthened. But the truth, as James Clear revealed, is much more uncomfortable. Self-control is fragile, and it crumbles in the face of a poorly designed environment. Think about this. You decide to start working out. You are motivated, determined, ready to change your life. But when you wake up, your workout clothes are crumpled at the bottom of the drawer. Your sneakers are in the trunk of the car. It's cold outside. Meanwhile, the couch is 3 steps from the bed. Your phone is in your hand and Instagram is already open. The choice is no longer between good and bad. The choice is between what is available and easy and what is hidden and laborious. And the brain, as we have seen, always chooses what requires less effort. That is the real problem. You are trying to change your behavior while maintaining an environment that encourages the opposite. And this is where the concept that has changed the way thousands of people understand discipline comes in. Choice architecture. This term, used by Clear, shows that human behavior is shaped by what is closest, most accessible, and most visible. It's not a matter of strength. It's a matter of behavioral engineering. Want an example? In a study cited by Clear, the simple change of position of water bottles in a cafeteria, placing them at the front instead of the back, increased water consumption and reduced soda consumption without any motivational campaign or prohibition. What changed? The environment. The decision became easier, and when a healthy decision becomes the simplest option, the brain does not resist. It follows. Now imagine applying this to your own life. Want to read more? Leave the book on the bed, not in the drawer. Want to stop getting distracted by your phone? Turn off notifications. Hide the device. Use blocking apps. Want to wake up and work out? Leave your clothes ready next to the bed as if you were setting a trap, but this time against your own laziness. Because deep down, this is what you need to understand. Discipline does not come from effort. It comes from preparation. Disciplined people are not stronger. They are smarter in how they set up their space, their rituals, and their triggers. They know that when the right environment is set up, good behavior becomes almost inevitable. They do not rely on motivation. They create a system where the right behavior requires less energy than the wrong one. And that is the key. You need to stop relying on self-control and start designing your environment as if you were an engineer of your own mind. A behavior that requires conscious effort today can become automatic tomorrow if it is well anchored in the environment. But what if you could go beyond that? What if, instead of just removing obstacles from the environment, you could hack the very habits that your brain already performs on autopilot? That is exactly what you will discover in the next part. How to use the concept of habit stacking to hijack existing behavior loops and turn them into allies of discipline. So far, you have understood 2 brutal truths. Your brain is biologically programmed to avoid effort, and your environment shapes your behavior more than your willpower ever could. But even with these 2 ideas in mind, an inevitable question arises. How, in practice, can you transform desirable habits into automatic behaviors? How do you move from intention to execution without relying on motivation, which is volatile and weak? The answer lies in one of the most powerful strategies revealed by James Clear: habit stacking. The human brain operates based on habit loops, which involve three parts: cue, routine, and reward. And these loops are already operating in you, even if unconsciously. You brush your teeth when you wake up. You check your phone when you sit on the couch. You have coffee as soon as you enter the kitchen. These actions require no effort because they are already part of the automatic structure of your behavior. What habit stacking proposes is simple yet brilliant. Instead of trying to create a new habit from scratch, you connect it to an existing habit. This way, you leverage a cue that is already rooted in your brain to implant a new desired action with much less resistance. For example, after brushing your teeth automatic habit, you meditate for 2 minutes. After preparing breakfast, you write a page in your journal. After locking the front door, you repeat a focus affirmation for the day. This sequence creates a kind of neural coupling. The brain starts to automatically associate the new behavior with the old one. You are in practice hijacking the automatic routine to hack discipline. And why does this work so well? Because you eliminate the biggest barrier, the start. Initiating an action requires more mental energy than maintaining it. Once you are in motion, inertia works in your favor. Habit stacking creates momentum. And momentum, more than willpower, is what keeps behaviors consistent over time. But be careful. This method requires a strategic approach. You cannot stack just any habit anywhere. The new action needs to be short. Start small with something that takes less than 2 minutes. Clear. It needs to be specific, not vague. Read a page, not read more. Immediate. It should happen right after the previous habit without pause. If you follow this logic, you will be creating mental tracks that make discipline inevitable. You will no longer have to decide if you want to do it. Your body will simply do it. And that is the true victory. When the right action happens before doubt arises, before laziness sets in, before rationalization convinces you to give up. And you know what's even more interesting? These small stacks, almost insignificant at first glance, accumulate over time exponentially. They transform into solid routines, and when you look back, you realize you have built an entire lifestyle on connected micro-habits. But if all of this is so powerful, why do so many people still procrastinate even when they know what they should do? The answer lies in a fundamental concept. Procrastination is not laziness. It is poorly designed. In the next part, we will dismantle this common belief and understand why your habits fail, not due to lack of effort, but because they do not follow the 4 invisible laws of behavior change. If what you're hearing resonates with you, you'll find real value in my ebooks. Beyond the Shadow breaks down Jung's core ideas, while Dialogues with the Unconscious gives you a 30-day path to apply them in your life. Both are linked in the pinned comment. The word procrastination carries a huge weight. For most people, it is associated with failure, weakness, and lack of ambition. It is common to hear someone say, "I am so lazy," or "I just can't get organized." But this narrative is completely misguided, and worse, it is self-destructive. According to James Clear, procrastination is not a personality flaw, nor is it a matter of laziness. It is a symptom. A clear sign that your environment, your habits, and your systems have been poorly designed. When you procrastinate, it is not because you don't want to act. It is because acting the way your life is set up today requires too much effort, is unappealing, and does not generate immediate reward. Your brain, as we have seen, operates on the basis of quick rewards, and that is why it avoids tasks that seem difficult, boring, time-consuming, or that do not provide clear gratification. Studying, for example, is a task that requires focus, energy, and offers an abstract return, knowledge that will only be useful in the future. On the other hand, Opening YouTube or Instagram provides immediate reward with no effort and with varied stimuli. For the brain, the choice is obvious. It is not a matter of morality, it is neuroscience. This is where the 4 laws of behavior change come in, described by Clear as the pillars for making any habit easy to maintain. They are: make it obvious. If the desired habit is hidden or out of sight, it will be forgotten. The brain needs to be constantly reminded of the action. What is visible is what will be done. Make it attractive. The habit needs to generate anticipation of pleasure. You can do this by associating it with something you already enjoy, or by making the process lighter and more interesting. Make it easy. The more friction there is, the lower the chance of execution. The habit needs to be reduced to the simplest form possible until it is impossible to say no. Make it satisfying. The behavior needs to generate a sense of completion of reward. Without this, the brain does not create attachment to the habit. Let's apply this in practice. Imagine someone who wants to create the habit of studying every night, but their current environment is like this. The study material is buried at the bottom of the backpack. The desk is cluttered with random objects, and the TV is on. Additionally, they plan to study for a whole hour without breaks and with no form of tracking or reward. Result? They open their phone and scroll through TikTok. Then they feel guilty. Then they try again the next day and fail once more. Now see how the same habit changes with the 4 laws applied. The study material is already open and on the table obvious. They start with a favorite drink or relaxing. Attractive. They will study for just 5 minutes at first with simple goals. Easy. Upon finishing, they mark their progress on a board or app and earn a small reward like an episode of a show. Satisfying. Do you see the difference? It's not that the person improved, they simply learned to design the right behavior. They learned that discipline is an illusion when the system is poorly made, and a natural consequence when the system is well designed. Procrastination in this context ceases to be a mystery and becomes a warning sign. Every time you avoid something, ask, is this action obvious? Is it minimally attractive? Is it easy to start? Is it generating any reward? If the answer is no to one or more of these questions, you have a design problem, not a discipline problem. And the most fascinating thing is that when you start applying these laws consistently, procrastination disappears almost effortlessly. You don't need to force yourself to act. The action happens naturally. The behavior flows. But maybe you are thinking, this all makes sense, but I still don't like these tasks. I still hate waking up early. I still detest writing, studying, training. So here's the question that will change your perspective. What if you didn't need to like discipline to become disciplined? In the next part, we will break the myth that you need to love the process to achieve results. You will discover why the most consistent people are not passionate about routine. They simply made the action inevitable. There is a very popular and very dangerous idea in productivity culture that you need to enjoy the process to become a disciplined person. How many times have you heard phrases like, fall in love with the routine, love the journey, or do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life? It sounds beautiful, inspiring, but it's false. And worse, it's demotivating for those trying to climb out of a hole. The truth is harsh, but liberating. You don't need to like discipline. You just need to make it inevitable. Highly productive people don't wake up every day wanting to do what needs to be done. They don't feel excited about every task, nor do they have infinite energy to maintain healthy habits. What they have is a structure that ensures the right actions happen even when they don't feel like it. And that changes everything. Imagine you want to create the habit of running in the morning. You might even have good reasons: health, aesthetics, energy, discipline. But on 9 out of 10 days, you will wake up without the desire. Your body will crave more sleep. Your mind will seek excuses. It will be cold or hot or raining. You will think, today is not the best day. And just like that, the habit dies once again. Now imagine a different scenario. Before going to bed, you leave your running shoes and workout clothes next to your bed. You place your phone alarm far away, forcing yourself to get up. You choose an energetic playlist that starts playing as soon as you turn off the alarm. You have a workout partner waiting for you on the corner at 6:30 a.m. You already know the running route and have prepared a light breakfast for afterward. In this second scenario, the act of running hasn't become more enjoyable. It remains demanding, but you have reduced friction so much and increased the structure around it so much that running has become the path of least resistance. The decision was made before the desire appeared. And that's what disciplined people do. They don't rely on desire. They create systems that work even on bad days. And here comes a crucial point. Your goal shouldn't be to fall in love with discipline. Your goal should be to make important behaviors so automatic, so well integrated into your routine, that executing them requires less effort than avoiding them. That's the difference between living in the realm of motivation and living in the realm of systems. In the realm of motivation, everything depends on your mood, your energy, your momentary enthusiasm. In the realm of systems, action is automatic. It's the default, the only logical choice. James Clear summarizes this with brutal clarity. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. This means your future will not be defined by your intentions, but by your daily habits. And the more these habits are automated, the less you will depend on motivation. That unstable resource that so many people insist on pursuing. That's why saying, "I don't like routine," or "I hate waking up early," is no longer a valid excuse. No one needs to love these things. You just need to make them so well integrated into your life that they cease to be a choice and become part of your identity. And speaking of identity, there is a final, deeper, more transformative level that connects all these ideas into a powerful truth. Discipline is not an end. It is a reflection of who you believe you are. In the next and final part, we will explore how true transformation happens not when you force yourself to act differently, but when you see yourself as someone different, and how that changes everything about how you live, act, and create lasting habits. After everything that has been said, it becomes clear that what we call discipline is not an innate virtue, nor a mystical talent reserved for a few enlightened ones. Discipline, in fact, is a side effect, a natural consequence of a well-designed system, an intentional environment, and a solid identity. When all these elements are aligned, acting in a disciplined manner ceases to be a constant effort and becomes your new normal. But there is an even deeper, more structural point that needs to be understood. No change in habit, routine, or behavior will truly last if there is no change in how you see yourself. And that is the true core of transformation. James Clear argues that the deepest level of behavior change is not what you want to achieve, but who you decide to be. Identity shapes habits, and habits reinforce identity. It's a cycle. If you want to be a disciplined person, you need to start acting like someone who believes they are disciplined. Small daily decisions, seemingly insignificant, are votes of affirmation in the direction of a new identity. Every time you train, even when you don't feel like it, every time you choose to read instead of scrolling through your feed, every time you execute, even for 2 minutes, you are telling yourself, "I am the kind of person who does what needs to be done." And this is more powerful than any motivational video, any technique, or any elaborate plan. Because you are not just trying to act differently, you are becoming someone different. And when identity changes, behavior follows as a natural consequence. Therefore, real discipline is not the ultimate goal. It is merely the reflection of a mind that has learned to play the right game, of someone who has stopped fighting against their own brain and started to design a path of least resistance for the correct behavior. Of someone who understands that they don't need to win by force, they just need to win by structure. So, if you've made it this far, you now have a real choice before you. You can continue blaming yourself for not being strong enough, or you can start today to build the environment, habits, and identity that make discipline inevitable. Stop waiting for motivation. Stop punishing yourself for not having infinite willpower. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent enough to let the system do the work for you. Now, I want to know from you. What is the first habit you will redesign starting today? Comment below because the simple act of writing is already a vote for your new identity. And if this video made you rethink how you view discipline, don't forget to subscribe to the channel because here we go deeper than just ready-made phrases.